you.
All right, Jordan, hold on one sec. I need a second to click a couple things.
All right, Jeff McDonald, San Antonio Express News. Go ahead.
Well, I was just curious if you know yet whether Bellinelli will be available today.
Yeah, I'll answer that in a minute, but I just want to make a little statement here.
Okay.
We're all here with, we're going to play basketball, but we all, our number one priority as far as the country and our society is concerned is racial justice and actually racial injustice that exists in our country, and trying to make everything just for all people. But just as a reminder, in this world, a lot of people really do not understand the breadth and depth of this horrific situation that Black people have been in for so long. And I just want to give you one example. And we're all doing this on our game days as we find an opportunity, just so people understand how gross we have been, not just now, but in the past. It didn't just happen. It's been this way for hundreds of years. As an example, today, 120 years ago in North Carolina, a constitutional amendment was approved. And what it did was it established a literacy test for Black people that they had to pass before they could vote. White people did not have the same literacy test. And it was so gross that they made a rule that if you had a relative before 1863 that had voted, and you're still illiterate now, you can vote. So that meant white people could vote if they had a relative before 1863 who voted. Well, Black people were enslaved and didn't have any relatives before 1863 that voted. So they were disenfranchised. And there's a former Confederate officer, William Guthrie, who on the eve of the election made a statement and basically talked about, you can find it, in the entire quote, but basically said this was very necessary to protect the white women, that they can't go out on the streets and they can't feel safe when they're alone, and we have to keep the quote unquote colored people away from them. So he emphasized this just on the eve of the election to make sure that their way would be found to be the rule that people had to live under. And this sort of activity went on over and over and over again for all this time. And again, it's about education and culture. And none of us knew these kinds of things. None of us were taught these things. Black, brown, Asian, Native American, doesn't matter. None of us were taught these things. And hopefully if people understand how gross this situation really is and how long it's been this gross, maybe we can make some headway. Marco Bellinelli is out tonight.
And then
I answer for one little question, right?
I know. Is it too? Do you have a sense of if you'll have Bryn Forbes at all for this Orlando thing?
I just have to wait and see how it all turns out. Like Patty Mills is going to play tonight.
Okay.
He pulled a Manu Ginobili on me and locked me in a room, beat the hell out of me, and threatened me in many ways. So since we are a man down, well, we're more than one man down with the three starters gone, but with Bryn and Belly both out, we need another body. So he really wants to fill that spot.
Kind of related to all that, what did you think about the minutes you got from Quindary Weatherspoon the other night?
He's fun to watch. I mean, his physicality, his toughness, his desire to win, they're all very impressive, and we liked what we saw.
Okay, I appreciate it.
You bet.
Thanks, Jeff. We'll go over to Tom Osborne from the Express News. Tom, go ahead.
Patty's always been a great mentor to younger guys, but it seemed like the last game he took kind of an active role in trying to do a little coaching. Could you see that in his future as him being a coach?
Well, he's done that since the day we arrived here, and he's been that way in San Antonio. You know that, Tom. He's kind of like the spiritual leader of the team. He gives of himself all the time. That's what he's all about. If he wanted to coach in the future, if he's unwise enough to want to choose that as a profession, he'd be great at it.
Thanks, Tom. We'll go to Bruno from Pounding the Rock. Bruno, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Pop. When Derek is taking that higher volume of threes that we've seen and still making them at a good clip, how does that open up the lineups that you're able to throw out there?
Well, it's something that, DeJounte is always also trying to do that. That's the way of the league. You don't shoot threes, you lose. That's the bottom line. And Derek and DeJounte both know that. Derek has really picked up on it quickly. I think he's a little bit more confident in doing it right now than DJ, but he's done a fine job of that. And of course, that's just another threat on the floor and spreads everything out a little bit more. One less defender that can be in the lane and clog it and help. So it's very important.
Okay. And you mentioned DJ shot also kind of coming around, making strides, especially this year. Does that allow you to be a bit more flexible between the two of them in terms of who's maybe taking a bit more of the primary playmaking duties on the floor?
There's no such thing. There are no point guards. Just perimeter players. So we don't care. In the offense, we're running. DeMar could bring it up. Lonnie could bring it up. Derek, DJ. Sometimes Rudy brings it up. So there's no such thing as one guy who's running the show.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Bruno. We'll go to RJ Marquez from KSAT 12. Go ahead, RJ.
Yeah, hey, Coach, good afternoon. The other night you mentioned that Derek had really kind of come a long way. What was it that you guys saw in 2017 when you guys took him in the first round that led you to believe that he could become a productive player? Because he had, been in college for 4 years. It's kind of a abnormality today now in college.
Right. Well, we're of the opinion that people who spend that kind of time in college are probably a little bit more mature, a little bit more used to being coached, allow themselves to be coached, maybe understand the game a little bit better. But, he has a unique size. He's not 6'3" or 6'4". I mean, he's got really great size. And he basically developed late. If you think about going to Division II school first, then going to Colorado, we just thought there was a lot of potential. And at that pick, thought he'd be a great young man to work with. And lo and behold, it's turned out to be a good pick. I've never seen a player take 6 charges in a game.
Right.
And he did that last game. I'm still sort of amazed by it. I don't know if I appreciated it enough at the time, but that's pretty incredible.
Thanks, Coach.
You bet.
Thanks, RJ. We'll go to Gerardo Lopez from Cultura Sports in Puerto Rico. Go ahead, Gerardo.
Hey, Coach. Appreciate the time. I'm sorry to reminisce a little bit, but you mentioned Manu, and I just want to know your thoughts on how Manu and Timmy and Parker would have handled this type of atmosphere in the bubble. Your 2 cents on that.
Well, they would have done it just like every other player. I think so far the discipline of the players has been great. As I've said before, the league has put together a heck of a program here in every way, shape, and form. But it's up to all of us, coaches, players, staff, to show the discipline, not to screw it up. And so obviously those 3 guys wouldn't do that. So they would be fine.
Thanks, Gerardo. We'll get one more from Anya Rosales with Spurs.com. Go ahead, Anya.
Hey, Pop. You mentioned how there are no more point guards. With the young core on the floor, how did you like the faster pace that the team had on Friday?
Well, I loved it, and it's necessary. We need to play with pace. We don't have one-on-one players. We give the ball to a player and say, beat your guy, go score. That's not the kind of players we have on the team. So we've got to do it as a group. We've got to have movement, and pace goes along with that.
Awesome. Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you, Pop. We appreciate you. Have a good game. We'll see you afterwards.
Y'all take care.
Thank you all.